What's up, people? Welcome back to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well this Thursday morning. I hope you're not feeling too tired after the game yesterday against Real Madrid. Overall, yeah, I mean, it was a bit disappointing, wasn't it? It really, really was. I know it's only pre-season. I know we don't want to get too worked up about it at this point. We don't want to be like those Arsenal fans, do we, who were all crying when we smashed them the other day. But it was a bit disappointing, and I think the one thing I do take from this game is just how badly we need a striker, if not two strikers. Obviously, we will be talking about that in a little bit, but just to give you my immediate kind of reaction from last night's game, obviously it was 2-0 to Real Madrid with goals from Jude Bellingham and Joselu. Yeah, I don't know, it's just, it feels like we take steps forward and then we just kind of take steps backwards, but I do feel a little bit like Erik ten Hag is trying to operate with his hands tied behind his back. You know what I mean? For a club of Manchester United's size, to be going into the season or to be going into pre-season without a striker is completely unacceptable. It is, you know, I don't like to try and be negative on this channel at all, but at the end of the day, we can't be living under a rock. Like, I think any Manchester United fan can agree that it is completely unacceptable that we literally do not have a striker. Like, it is unacceptable. There is no other way of kind of, you know, dancing around the issue here. We have no striker. We should have at least one striker in this club. We really, really should. So, yeah, a bit disappointing. It really, really was. Overall, I wasn't that impressed with anything I saw last night, to be completely honest. Obviously, Kobbie Mainoo got injured, which is really, really disappointing. He did go off on crutches. Apparently, Erik ten Hag doesn't know how bad the injury is yet. That's what I've just read. So at this point, we don't really know whether Kobbie Mainoo will be out for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months. It's still unclear, but he did leave the stadium on crutches and he had like a, a protective boot around his leg. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Hopefully it's just a precaution. But yeah, obviously he went off injured, I think was it in the 5th minute or something. So yeah, really, really disappointing for him because he was having such a good pre-season tour so far. Hopefully he's back for the next game. You never know with injuries, do you? Maybe it was just like a little injury and he'll be all right. But yeah, at this point, nobody seems to know. Ten Hag doesn't seem to know. So yeah, we'll obviously keep you updated on it as we, you know, as and when we get more bits of news on it. But as it stands, it does look like Kobbie Mainoo is injured. Yeah, but we don't know the extent of the injury yet. So yeah, obviously once we do know, we will let you guys know. But at the moment, we are unsure. If everybody who's watching could please smash a like on the video if you haven't already, and please do subscribe to the channel. It would really, really help get more people in the chat and all the rest of it. So do smash a like and do subscribe if you haven't already. Right, we've got a really big show for you guys this morning. Actually, there's quite a lot of stories that have come out since we spoke last night. It's quite a lot to get into. We're going to be talking about Fred. We've got some more information on the Fred saga, let's call it. We've got some more information on the Fred saga. We're going to be talking about Rasmus Højlund. We're going to be talking about Amrabat. We're going to be talking about McTominay. We're going to be talking about Eric Bailly. We've got loads and loads to get into. So do get your comments in as always, and I will come back. I will come back to the chat a little bit later on and read out some of you guys' comments. So do get involved. Do let me know how you're feeling today. Do let me know how you're feeling about the game last night. You know, was there any elements of it that you thought were good? Were you a little bit disappointed overall? For me, it was a little bit disappointing. I know it's just pre-season, but yeah, pre-season is where you kind of get all of the work, put all of the building blocks in place, if you like. And the fact that Ten Hag is trying to build his team for next season without a striker, like, it is completely unacceptable. It is. I know we just spoke about this, but even if we bring in Rasmus Højlund now, like, I don't want to ruin you guys' morning, but if we bring in Rasmus Højlund today, right, say, is that really going to make the difference? Like, be completely honest with me now. I know we all want Rasmus Højlund, we all back him, we all want him to come in and do well, but do you guys honestly think that bringing in Rasmus Højlund on his own is going to be enough to sort out our attacking issues? Because I don't personally think it will be. I don't. That's just my opinion. I've said since the very beginning of this transfer window that we need two strikers. You know, if you tell me that Harry Kane's coming in, yeah, I'll say that will solve our problems. But I'm just not fully convinced that Rasmus Højlund on his own is going to be able to solve our attacking issues, to be completely honest. Yeah, I really don't. And at the end of the day, as I've said to you guys many, many times before, if he'd have come in at the very, very beginning of the transfer window, you know, he'd been with Ten Hag for the last month, he'd played 3 or 4 games, I might feel a little bit more confident about it. But the fact that he's going to come in and then the Premier League starts in 2 weeks, it's like, we're not in a good position. We're really, really not. The rest of the team, I think I'm happy with. The defence, I'm happy with. Goalkeeper, midfield. Wingers, I'm a little bit unsure about. I don't like Bruno on the right. I really don't like Bruno playing on the wing. But yeah, it's pretty much just our attack where the issue is at the end of the day, guys, for me. everywhere else, everywhere else I think is looking really, really good. I think our defence looked really, really solid. I think Onana had a really, really good game. I think Mason Mount's looked quite good so far. Obviously Bruno looks good, Casemiro looks good, Kobbie Mainoo looks good. Like all of those players look really, really strong. It's just our attack. It's just the same as it was last season. We really, really do struggle to score goals at the end of the day, and I haven't really seen any improvement in that in this kind of pre-season so far. So yeah, we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed. We'll have to hope that it does improve over the next kind of couple of weeks, and that we do bring in these strikers, because at the end of the day, if we don't, I don't really know what to think for next season, to be completely honest with you. But right, let's bring in a couple of quotes then from Erik ten Hag on the striker situation. So after the match last night, Erik ten Hag was asked by Simon Stone if the missed chances tonight emphasised why he needs a striker, and Erik ten Hag says, absolutely. A couple of days ago, Erik ultimately said that, that we needed a striker. It was the priority position, and that we were doing everything we could to get this striker in the game. I think that was about a week ago, wasn't it? After we played, was it against Arsenal? Against Arsenal, yeah. They were asking him about the striker then, and he said ultimately that it's our priority position. We need a striker, but obviously we don't have the striker yet. And then he also was asked, is Manchester United's inability to take their chances against Real Madrid emphasise the need for a new striker? And he says absolutely. So ultimately Erik ten Hag knows that we need the striker, as we all do. Anybody, even if you were living under a rock, you would know that Manchester United need a new striker, don't they? It's probably the most obvious bit of the kind of transfer window, isn't it? But the thing which is positive though, guys, is it does look like the Rasmus Højlund deal will happen. I think it is just a matter of when, not if, at this stage. We are just waiting for that fee to be agreed between Manchester United and Atalanta. Anybody who missed the shows yesterday, of course, we did put in our first bid yesterday, didn't we? For around £42 million plus add-ons, which has, I believe, been rejected. It was £42.8 million plus an additional £8.5 million in add-ons. That was reported by David Ornstein, who writes for The Athletic. Apparently, Atalanta want around £60 million, including add-ons. At this point, we just need to go get him. We just need to go get it done. I don't want to talk about Rasmus Højlund anymore. I really, really don't. I just want to see today. I just hope, if anything, right, that last night's game, it's not the end of the world. It's just a pre-season match, you know. It's not like, oh, we're going to get relegated, or, you know, it literally in some ways means nothing. No points were lost. There wasn't a trophy on the line. It was just a pre-season match to get fitness, okay? That's just the black and white of it. It was a fitness drill last night. So just remember that, guys. And that's why I'm being positive about it. I'm saying every other area of the pitch I'm happy with, but nobody can sit here and say they're happy with the striker situation because we don't have a striker. So it's impossible not to be negative about that. But yeah, let's just hope that last night creates a bit of urgency for Manchester United, and they do just think we really need to get the striker in now, because at the end of the day, you know, we need to do it now. The only thing that maybe worries me a little bit, do you think it weakens our bargaining position? Do you think the fact that, because like we lost last night, I don't know, if you think I'm talking rubbish, let me know in the comment section, but do you think the fact that, you know, obviously we lost last night, it's clear to everybody, anybody who knows a tiny bit of football knows that Manchester United need a striker. You know, even people who don't watch football will say, oh yeah, you used to have Ronaldo, didn't you? Didn't Ronaldo leave? And then they'd say, oh, who's your striker now? And you'd be like, oh, we don't have one. So my point here is, do you think this weakens our bargaining position when we go back to Atalanta? Do you think they could then say, well, you know, we want this amount of money, you don't have a striker, either you pay it or we sell him to someone else? That's my only concern here, but I do think that we will seal the deal for around £60 million. That's what's being reported. It looks like it'll be something like 50 million plus around 10 in add-ons. At this point, just go and get that deal done. That's all that matters to me. We just need to get it done. We really, really do, because I at least want to see Rasmus Højlund play in the... I think we've got 2 games when we get back to Europe, don't we? I think we play Atletico Bilbao and we play Lens. So we've got 2 games before the season starts. We need him involved in both of those matches, 100%. We need him training with the team, and we also need Amrabat training with the team. Yeah, as Jonathan says in the chat, I mean, Jonathan raises a good point. Jonathan says, I don't care what anyone else says, a striker should have been the first signing over any other position. I mean, I do agree with you, to be completely honest with you. I do, but the only thing is, like, the striker position is such a difficult one to fill. There is such a shortage of world-class strikers. And I mean, Rasmus Højlund isn't even a world-class striker, is he? So when you actually look at world-class strikers that are available on the market today, I mean, can you even name any? Harry Kane, not available to English clubs. Colin Mawani, is he world class? Probably not. Gonzalo Ramos, he's probably not world class. Like, there are strikers available, but if we're talking in that world class bracket, if we're talking people like what's he called? Victor Osimhen, Harry Kane, like none of these people are available. And if they are, they want 100, 150 million pounds for them. So I can understand why we've, bought other positions first, because it probably was a bit easier to buy Mason Mount than it would be to go and buy Harry Kane, or it was easier to buy Onana than it would be to go and buy Victor Osimhen. So I do get your point that the striker should have been the priority, and we probably should have just completely blown our budget on a striker. Because I saw people already after last night's game already arguing, there's these people who wanted David De Gea to stay, and then there's the anti-David De Gea, the David De Gea, out group or whatever you want to call them. And they're already arguing, saying, oh, look, even though we've signed Onana, our strikers still can't finish, which I kind of do agree with. I don't want to add fuel to the fire, but like, there were so many people I would speak to and they'd say, oh, if we sign Onana, we'll suddenly be scoring loads of goals, kind of thing. And I'm thinking, well, we're only going to be scoring goals if our strikers start scoring. Just because you bring in Onana doesn't mean that your strikers are going to... Well, we don't even have any striker, but your forward players are going to suddenly start scoring. Do you see what I'm saying? And I already saw people after the game last night on Twitter arguing about it, saying like, oh, see, we've signed Onana and we still can't score. Like, everybody's... and it's just like... It's so easy for Manchester United fans to get divided. It really does frustrate me. It really, really does. Like, we've got to try and just all stay united. We can have differing opinions, but, we need to try and stay as one community. Otherwise, it doesn't get us anywhere, does it? Obviously, you can have differing opinions, but yeah. Anyway, we've got over 300 people watching this morning, which is amazing considering most of you probably were up really late last night. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't already, guys, and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're on the road to 7K subscribers. Let's see if we can hit that by the end of today. That'll be an amazing achievement. So go and subscribe now if you haven't already, and please do smash a like on the video because it really helps get more people into the chat and into this community. But yeah, let me know in the comment section what you think about that. Now that we've signed Onana, do you think we should be scoring more goals? Do you think Onana equals more goals? I mean, for me personally, I do agree with whoever put that in the chat earlier on that, like, ultimately, the striker was the most important thing. It was, like, as you can see now. There's no point kind of going back round on the whole goalkeeper situation. It is what it is. We've got Onana, which I'm really, really happy about, and David De Gea's left, which I think is the right decision. But it is. I don't think that signing Onana is going to mean that our strikers now know how to finish. Like, that doesn't really work, does it? And it's not like he's going to be the one scoring the goals. So, yeah, as long as we get Rasmus Højlund in and another striker, I do think we will, I think we will start seeing improvements in those areas. But, yeah, at the moment, I don't really know what to say. I mean, in the other preseason matches, we didn't look too bad, did we, going forward? We got some goals. Real Madrid are a tough opponent, let's be honest. Arsenal are not the same as Real Madrid. We played, who else we played? Lyon. Like, we've played some relatively poor teams, let's be completely honest here. Whereas, we played Leeds, who've just been relegated. Real Madrid are one of the best teams in world football at the end of the day. Like, so it's no disappointment to lose to them. I think it's more just disappointing that, we lost to them, but we're kind of going into a race with, like, only one leg, or do you know what I mean? Like, we didn't have a striker. That's my point. Anyway, let's have a read of a few comments. So Ryan says that Kobbie Mainoo injury really made a difference. Disappointing. Any updates on that? At the moment, there's no updates on Kobbie Mainoo, unfortunately. Ten Hag did speak about him after the match, but he said that ultimately they were still waiting to find out. He said, I understand the question, but you can never tell straight after a game. We will have to wait and see what it is. Hopefully he is not too bad and chances will come. So at the moment, the kind of medical team don't know exactly what's wrong with Kobbie Mainoo. Obviously, he was only injured 5 hours ago or something. So they usually, I think, wait 24 hours. They wait and see how whatever it is heals or whatever, So at the moment, guys, it's too early to say whether Kobbie Mainoo is going to kind of be injured for a long time or he'll be all right. But obviously, as and when we get more information, we will keep you updated. Jackie says, Eriksen was not good. Mount is a good choice. Amrabat will steady the ship, no doubt. Yeah, I do agree with you. I do. I am a little bit worried about Christian Eriksen. I'm not going to lie to you. Ever since he got that injury last season, he's not looked very good. Like, I'm not trying to, I'm just giving my opinion. If you disagree, that's completely fine. Before the injury, he looked quality. He really, really did. And then he got that nasty injury, didn't he? Who was it against? It's the guy with the long hair who used to play for Liverpool. What's his name? Someone in the chat will know. You remember it was in the FA Cup, I think, and he literally scissor tackled him, didn't he? And then I can see his face. He's got long hair. He used to play for Liverpool, and he did an absolutely disgusting tackle on Eriksen, didn't he? And then he didn't even get a red card. I don't even think he got a yellow card, did he? Absolutely disgusting tackle that was. But yeah, I mean, ever since that injury, he's not really looked the same. I do agree with you, Jackie. Like, and I am a little bit worried about him. But at the end of the day, that's why we're probably bringing in. Yeah, it was against Reading. That's probably why we're bringing in Amrabat and Mason Mount, because Eric probably knows that as good of a player Eriksen is, like, he isn't the same player as he was before his injury, I don't think. Yeah, it was Andy Carroll. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Yeah, so ever since he got injured by Andy Carroll, that was a disgusting chat. You know, that scissor kick. He was out for, what, 2 or 3 months. And since he's come back from that injury, Eriksen, he doesn't look the same player, which sometimes does happen, doesn't it, with injuries? Like, they come back and they just don't look as good as they did before. It might be that they're still a little bit like, I don't know, I'm not sure. But I do agree with you, Jackie. I don't think that Eriksen looks particularly good in the last kind of 2 or 3 games. And I think, to be completely honest with you now, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I definitely just think that Eriksen is a bench player now. I think that he's a good squad player, but I don't think he should be starting games anymore, which I don't think will happen anyway, to be honest. So as a squad player, someone to come on in the last 20 minutes of a game, yeah, I'm happy about that. But otherwise, I do not think that Eriksen should be starting matches at the moment, especially when you've got people like Amrabat coming in, Mason Mount, you've got Kobbie Mainoo. Like, I would much rather any of those people play above Christian Eriksen at the moment. So yeah, I would stick him on the bench. I think he's got 1 year left on his contract, I think. Let me just double check that for you. Obviously, we didn't pay any money for him, so I'm not upset in the slightest about it. He's not even on that much money either. He's on so actually he is on quite a lot of money. He signed a 3-year deal, so he's got 2 years left on his contract, Eriksen. He's here till 2025. Yeah, I think that's fine. We keep him for 2 years. We keep him as a squad rotation player. Keep him on the bench. Yeah, I have no issue with that whatsoever. He can maybe play against some of the lesser teams. Like at home, I could imagine us playing him. You could imagine, him coming on in the second half at home against like a Bournemouth or someone like that. But yeah, what's everyone else saying? Yeah, so Jackie says Eriksen is now a squad player for sure. I think Mainoo is young and recover quickly and will kick on. Yeah, I think the Mainoo situation will be all right. So let's just keep our fingers and toes crossed for Kobbie Mainoo, guys. Let's hope that he kind of isn't too bad after that injury, and let's hope that let's just wish him all the best and hope that he's okay, because he really, really is an important player for us, I think, next season. I really, really do. I think what I've seen of him so far in this preseason, he's probably one of the players that I'm most excited about out of everybody. So yeah. Let's wish him a speedy recovery. Hopefully it's nothing serious. The thing you've got to remember, guys, is Amad Diallo went off against Arsenal with an injury, and then he was back in training a couple of days later. So let's hope it's the same with Kobbie Mainoo. Let's hope it was just a precautionary kind of measure. Let's hope that we see him back by kind of next week or something. That would be really, really positive. Yeah, as Louis says, Eriksen has only got 45 minutes in his legs. Yeah, honestly, Eriksen for 45 minutes is quality. Anything left more than that, and he just completely fades away, doesn't he? He really, really does. I mean, how old is Eriksen? Is he that? He's 31, so he's not that old. But Malps. So this is somebody else. So Malps is coming from a whole different angle here. Malps is saying we should have never signed Eriksen. I didn't want him from the start. His legs are gone. How does everybody feel about that? I'm not going to lie to you. I was really, really excited when we signed Christian Eriksen. He'd had a really good season at Brentford the year before. And you know how hard-working Brentford are. You know, Brentford aren't the type of team who just sit back. They're constantly running at people. They're constantly, they play a very high-pressing game, don't they, Brentford? And he was really good for them the season before we signed him. So I was actually pretty happy when we signed Christian Eriksen. I was, but yeah, at this point, it does look a bit bleak for him, to be completely honest, doesn't it? But let's just try and hope he does well. Let's give him our support. Even if he does just become a bench player, I do think he is a good person to have off the bench. And obviously as well, what you've got to remember is if Rasmus Højlund comes in, that'll be really good for Rasmus. Obviously, they're both from Denmark, aren't they? They both play for the Danish national team. So yeah, I think that would be good for Rasmus if he comes in and Eriksen is there as kind of like, not a mentor, but you know what I mean? Like, it is nice to have somebody from your own country who plays for the team, isn't it? So yeah, we've got him for 2 more years. I'm not saying get Eriksen out of my club by any means. I think he did a lot of good last season, but I do agree that in the last kind of 2 or 3 games, he's looked pretty leggy and a bit maybe he's just not 100% fit yet, who knows. Yeah, we will obviously hope that, yeah, you know, Eriksen was free at the end of the day, so we can't really complain, can we? He didn't cost us any money, and I think for free he's a good signing personally. What have we got? Right, let's move on to the next story though. Let's not talk about Eriksen for too long. Right, we've got 400 people watching already, guys. Absolutely amazing. Please do smash a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's see how many people we can end up with by the end of this stream. I think, yeah, as I said, we're on the road to 7,000 subscribers. We're about 60 subscribers away from 6,800. So do go and subscribe if you haven't already. And let's crack on with the show. Let's talk about Fred. Right, let's talk about Fred then, shall we? We've just gone off the back of talking about how great Kobbie Mainoo is, how excited we are about Mason Mount, and now we can talk about Fred, who does look like he will be leaving the club. So there was a bit of breaking news that came out last night surrounding Fred, and this was coming from a journalist in the UK reporting the following: that the Galatasaray president has flown to England this evening in a bid to push through the signing of Fred. Manchester United are demanding £20 million for Fred's signature. So yeah. How does everybody feel about that? That is positive. It does look like this Galatasaray move is kind of picking up some momentum. As it stands, they've made 3 offers for Fred. €5 million, 7 million and 10 million, which are all ridiculously too low in my opinion. As this story says, Manchester United are looking for £20 million for Fred, which I think is fair. I think 20 million for Fred. I mean, if people like Conor Gallagher are worth 50 apparently, and Declan Rice is worth 105, I think Fred's worth 20. Definitely, he's not a bad player. He's obviously a Brazilian international. How many games has he played for us? Probably over 100 games. He's played in the Champions League. For 20 million, I think he's a bargain for some people. So yeah, it looks like the Galatasaray president has come to the UK to try and push through this move, and hopefully this one does happen because he's definitely somebody that needs to go. He really, really is. So yeah, let's hope that this one goes through. And Fabrizio Romano has confirmed this as well. Fabrizio says Galatasaray remain keen on signing Fred as priority target. Fred will leave the club this summer. So Fabrizio's saying that Fred is gone pretty much. Fred is out of the project. We don't know exactly where he's going to go. Obviously, Fulham are also interested and clubs from Saudi Arabia. But Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Fred will leave Manchester United this summer. We don't know exactly which club it will be. We don't know what the exact fee will be at this point, but he's out of the project. He obviously isn't on the pre-season tour in America. Fred will leave Manchester United, which I do think is the correct decision. I've got absolutely no kind of arguments with that whatsoever. Yeah, I've got one for you here, actually. Let me ask you this really, really quickly. How do you feel about this question? What would you prefer? Eriksen in his current form? Obviously, I've said that Eriksen before his injury was great. I loved him. But since he got injured against Reading, he's not looked very good. Do you prefer Eriksen in his current form or do you prefer Fred? Let me know in the comments section. Because that's a really difficult question. If you'd have asked me this before Eriksen got injured, I would have said Eriksen any day of the week. But now, when I actually think about it, I'm a little bit like, I don't know. It's difficult because I don't really feel like Fred ever gets injured, does he? He always seems to be available. He always gives 100%. I don't think he's that good, but like Eriksen can't even play half a game now. That's quite a difficult question, actually, isn't it? But let me know in the comment section, who would you prefer to keep between Eriksen in his current form, obviously not being particularly great, or Fred? I know it's completely hypothetical, but yeah, and obviously you've got to remember, Fred's only got 1 year left on his contract. We either sell him now or he goes for free. So it's 100% the right decision to get rid of Fred at this point. I have no kind of arguments over that, and I hope he gets his move to Galatasaray. I just hope that we get a good amount of money for him, because €5 million, €8 million is an absolute joke, isn't it? It needs to be at least like, I think the very, very, very minimum that I think would be fair for Fred would be about £15 million. Anything less than that, I think, is honestly a disgrace. I really, really do. You know, especially like Manchester United are about to go and spend what, 60-70 million pounds on Rasmus Højlund, and we can't even sell Fred for 20 million. You know, we can't even sell Dean Henderson. We can only loan him out. I don't really get it. I don't know whether it's just incompetence across the club. I don't know whether it's because of their wages. Like, I would love to know why Manchester United are so bad at doing transfers. It is very confusing, isn't it? But anyway, let's move on from that one. So let's talk about Dean Henderson really, really quickly. I know this isn't the most bit of positive news, but yeah, so apparently Dean Henderson's going to move to Nottingham Forest, which is obviously great, but it is going to be a loan move with an obligation to buy. Again, we don't know what the kind of finite details are of this obligation to buy at this moment in time. We don't know whether it's, 20 million, 30 million, whether it's if they get relegated, they don't have to buy him. There's all these bits of this deal that have cracks in it, in my opinion. Obviously, if you sell a player to someone, they can't then turn around in a year and say, we've been relegated, give me my money back. Whereas obligations to buy, you never exactly know what's included in that obligation to buy. The one thing I always remember about obligations to buy was obviously Eric Bailly went on loan to Marseille. I think he had to play I think it was like 10 games in the league, right? And then they had to pay 10 million for him, something like that, right? It was a really small amount of games, and Eric Bailly didn't do it. He fly kicked somebody and got suspended for 10 matches and then was injured. So we gave Eric Bailly for free on loan to Marseille with the expectation that we were then going to get 10 million next season for him after he played 10 games, which was all but confirmed, right? He gets injured, he gets suspended, and then in the end, he comes back to Manchester United. So hopefully we've learned from our mistakes, and hopefully this time around, whatever this deal is for Dean Henderson, is a bit more better than the last deal we did with Eric Bailly, because at the end of the day, he is worth money. He's worth at least £20 million to me, 20 to 30 million. So let's hope that we do a proper deal here. But as it stands, it looks like he will be going out on loan. All right, so Miles has just put a question in. This is a really good question, a really difficult question. Miles says, Kieran, between Martinelli and Antony, who do you choose? Between Rashford and Saka, who do you choose? Oh, that's really difficult. Let me ask that back to the chat. So somebody in the chat has asked, out of these two options, would you prefer to have Martinelli or Antony as question 1, or would you prefer to have Rashford or Saka as question 2? Let me know which one you want. I go with Rashford over Saka, personally. I do really like Saka, but I go with Rashford over Saka. But at this point in time, I might take Martinelli over Antony, I think. But I do think that Antony has a higher ceiling than Martinelli. I just think that at this moment in time, Martinelli is a better footballer than Antony. But yeah, let me know in the comment section. Right, let's move on to the next bit of story, though. Yeah, I mean, as Jackie says, why on earth are we giving Henderson a loan again? They already know what he's about. They already know what he can do. It's like, you know, they've tried before they buy. They tried him last season. And then they're coming back saying, we want to try again. We're not 100%. Let us try one more time and we'll see how we get on. I mean, it's very, very strange, isn't it? But yeah. Hopefully this one just happens at this point. I don't really care anymore. There was one really interesting take that I was speaking to a friend last night, actually. And they kind of looked at this Henderson situation in a very different way. So I want to bring this in really, really quickly because I thought it was quite interesting. Now, obviously, if we loan out Dean Henderson to Nottingham Forest, okay? At the moment, we don't have a backup goalkeeper, right? When you think last year, we had David De Gea, we had Dean Henderson, we had... Who else do we have? Who are the goalkeepers? We had Jack Butland, we have the guy from Newcastle for a bit, we had Tom Heaton. We had about 4 or 5, like, quite good goalkeepers this time last season, didn't we? Whereas now, we've literally got Onana and Tom Heaton, and that's it. Really. You know, David De Gea's gone, Tom Heaton, what's the other guy? Dubravka's gone, Jack Butland's gone. Like, we've got rid of about 3 goalkeepers. So somebody was saying to me, well, if we loan out Dean Henderson to Nottingham Forest and say Onana gets a really bad injury or something happens to Onana, then we can always bring Dean Henderson back, which I hadn't really thought about before, but I do think that's actually quite a good take on it, because if we get rid of Dean Henderson, like, are you guys honestly telling me that you'll be happy with this Zion Suzuki guy being the backup goalkeeper? Imagine if Onana gets injured for the whole season and you've got to throw in this 20-year-old goalkeeper who's never played outside of the Japanese league and nobody's ever even heard of. Like, are you honestly telling me that you're happy with, you know, some random goalkeeper you've never heard of being Manchester United's goalkeeper? Like, I do kind of get it in that sense. And he was saying, I think they're doing this because they do want to sell him, but maybe they don't want to buy like a proper goalkeeper now. I don't know. I'm not really too sure. But yeah, let me know what you think about that one. I did think it was quite interesting, and it kind of made me feel a little bit less negative about it, because I was like, well, that does make sense. Imagine if Onana gets injured, then at least you know that Dean Henderson's only over in Nottingham. We can just recall him from loan and we get him back at the club. But yeah, as somebody says in the chat, I don't think Dean Henderson is in Erik ten Hag's plans at the end of the day. So even if we could recall him from loan, it's like Dean Henderson and Manchester United, their kind of relationship's over, isn't it? Neither of them want to be here. Eric doesn't want him. Neither of them want to be here, you know. I'm just having a look. There's some news about Kobbie Mainoo's injury. I'm just seeing if there's anything to bring you. Hold on, guys. I'm just reading something. There's some breaking news about Kobbie Mainoo's injury. Give me 1 second. I'm just reading it before I... Okay, so it's just the same as it was before. He's just saying he's... Erik ten Hag's enthused by the fact that he walked off the pitch, so I'd like to think it's not too bad. So Erik ten Hag has just come out and said that. Eric says about Kobbie Mainoo's injury, I'm enthused by the fact that Kobbie Mainoo walked off the pitch, so I'd like to think it's not too bad. So at this stage, guys, it looks like everybody's feeling quite hopeful about this Kobbie Mainoo injury, and hopefully it's not too bad. But yeah, we will obviously keep you updated as and when we get more news on it. But yeah, let me know what you think about this take on the goalkeeper situation, because Zion Suzuki isn't even coming. We're now reportedly speaking to the Fenerbahce goalkeeper. I mean, you know, we've gone from last season of having David De Gea as the number one, having Tom Heaton, Jack Butland, Dubravka. We had like 4 goalkeepers who were all Premier League goalkeepers. Now we literally have Onana, and that's it. I know we have Tom Heaton, but he looks like he's going to go to Luton. So maybe this is a reason. Maybe this is the reason why they're not, permanently selling Dean Henderson. I'm not too sure. I do agree though that he should leave the club. I do, but I just think, unless we're going to get a good amount of money for him. I don't really too know. Right, I'll read out a couple of your comments really, really quickly. Voice of Reason says, what do you think about Maguire getting booed off against Real Madrid? Honestly, I'll be completely honest with you guys. I think it's an absolute disgrace. Like, I really, really do. I don't agree with any, like... I mean, put it this way, right? If a Manchester United player took his shirt off and spat on the badge, obviously I would say boo him, whatever. But, like, Harry Maguire hasn't done that. He hasn't, And I do think it's unfair that the way he's treated in some ways. Like, I 100% do want him to leave the club. I don't think he's good enough to play for Manchester United. But that's just purely a footballing opinion. Booing somebody is just like, that's the kind of thing that Real Madrid fans do, We should be better than that. I really, really do think that we should be better than that. Let me just say this as well, guys. I don't know how many people have been to Old Trafford in the last couple of years, but every single time I've been in the last couple of years, I think I went about 7 or 8 times last season, and then maybe about 10 times the season before. Every time Harry Maguire comes on, every time his name's called out, people applaud him. Nobody boos him. So I don't know whether that's just... I don't know, but the message towards Harry Maguire in Old Trafford is always a message of support, because at the end of the day, they're about to play a game of football. Like, what does booing them help, They're going to go and play for your team on the pitch. So I don't really agree. I don't agree with fans booing players, to be completely honest with you. I really, really don't. Obviously, like I said, if they've done something like horrible to the team, if they've like done something really bad, then yeah, but he hasn't, has he really? Liam says, what do you think about the lack of takeover news? I don't know, to be completely honest with you. I really don't. I mean, if the Glazers think they can stay after signing 4 players, then it's an absolute disgrace. I mean, if they honestly think they can stay at the club from signing Onana, who I'm happy about, Mason Mount, who I'm happy about, but I didn't think we needed, Amrabat, who I am happy about, and Rasmus Højlund, who I am happy about, but to be completely honest, he isn't going to win us the league. Like, if they think that they can just do that, right, and stay at the club, they've got another thing coming. They really, really do. If we were sat here now and they just signed Harry Kane, Frankie de Jong, Kim Min-jae, Onana, and I don't know, some other player, I still would be saying they're a bunch of jokers if they think they can, stay at the club. But the players we've signed, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know about the takeover. I don't know what to think anymore. I really, really don't. I've kind of pushed it to the back of my head, to be completely honest with you, because there has literally been nothing. There's not been a single story. There's not even been a Qatari newspaper saying that it's going to happen in 24 hours. We have literally had nothing for 2 or 3 weeks. Like, when was the last time we had some significant news about the takeover? I'm not going to lie to you guys. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some news today, but I don't think it'll be new news. I think it will just be the regurgitated thing. I wouldn't be surprised if The Athletic put up a story today like, the Glazers might stay or something like that. We'll get some obvious story in the next couple of days, but we haven't had any actual new news saying a new bid's gone in, a deadline's been set. Like, there's been nothing for probably 6 weeks. See, I don't really know what to think about it at this current point, to be completely honest with you. I think the more I think about it, the more it frustrates me. So I try and not think about it too much. Obviously, the message is still clear. We want the Glazers out of this club. We don't want them here anymore. They need to leave 100%, no matter who we sign, no matter how different they try and change the running of the club, whether they build a stadium. I literally don't care anymore. Whenever I think of Manchester United now, I think of the Glazers, and that kind of association needs to go. And the only way that can go is by them leaving. So that's my take on it. I don't really know what else to say on it, to be completely honest with you. Jamie says it's gone quiet because something's happening. Yeah, I do agree. I think that the fact that it has gone quiet probably does mean that something's happening behind the scenes, but that could just be that, the Glazers are staying, or it could be that they're selling to Sir Jim. Like, we don't know which way it's going to go. Like, obviously we have our preferences, but at this moment in time, there's not been any kind of news We haven't even had Rio coming out saying that tomorrow it's gonna be Qatar. Like, we've literally had nothing, which I think is kind of good in some ways, because it means that at least like on this channel we can actually talk about football, we can talk about other stuff, because otherwise it completely fills every single show, doesn't it? You know, talking about whether Rio Ferdinand was right that somebody told him a month ago that Qatar would own the club next week, and it's just like, you know, it's just like gossip, isn't it? At the end of the day, somebody saying Fabrizio posted. Right, we've got 450 people watching, which is really good considering we did have a match last night at about 3 in the morning. So yeah, if you are new here, please do subscribe. And if you are a regular, please do smash a like on the video. Doesn't cost any money. It's completely free. Somebody's saying Fabrizio's posted. He hasn't posted anything. Right, let's move on though. Let's crack on with the rest of the show. And yeah, I do agree with everybody. Like, no news is good news, but in general, I'm just kind of trying not to think about it anymore at the moment. Yeah, so let's move on though. Let's talk about Eric Bailly really quickly. We did talk about this briefly last night, but let's mention it. So Eric Bailly looks like he's going to move to Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia, obviously the club where Cristiano Ronaldo plays. We don't know exactly what the fee is going to be at this point, but if anybody remembers, a couple of days ago Eric Bailly put up a cryptic message on his, I think it was on his Instagram, wasn't it? And it was a picture of him outside Carrington, and it said done and a tick, and he had kind of like it looked like a kind of suitcase type thing. So yeah, it looks like Eric Bailly will leave the club, and he looks like he is set to move to Saudi Arabia, which I think is a good move for him. I think he'll go there and do well. I know it's not, you know, he's not going to be playing in the Champions League or in Europe or anything, but at the end of the day, some of the people moving to Saudi Arabia now, like, it is actually mad. Like, Verratti's about to go there. Obviously, they're putting in offers for Kylian Mbappe. Like, it is pretty mad. I don't think it's even that. Let me ask you this actually, really quickly. How long do you reckon it'll be before the Saudi league takes over the French league? I don't think it'll be long. I think it'll be a couple of seasons, genuinely. I mean, one team in the Saudi league this season alone has signed that Malcolm guy from Zenit, Koulibaly, Ruben Neves, and they're putting in 300 million euros bids for Mbappe. One club. Like, absolutely mental. It really is. Yeah, somebody says, how much do you think we'll get for Eric Bailly? I think it'll be about the same amount of money we got for Alex Telles. I reckon we'll get around 6 million for... around 5 to 6 million for Eric Bailly, I think, which I think's fair. I do. He isn't that old. He's only 27, but he is on quite high wages. I think 5 to 6 million would be a fair price for him. Obviously, that can then just go back straight into the bank and can be reinvested in other areas of the pitch. Yeah, but let's just hope that. I mean, people are saying 10 million. I don't think we'll get 10 million for Eric Bailly. I mean, if we do, that's incredible. But Alex Telles, I would say, is probably in a better position by way of form. He just won the Europa League. With Sevilla, he just had a really good loan spell there, whereas Eric Bailly had a terrible loan at where was he? Where was Eric Bailly before? Was it Marseille? Yeah, he really didn't do very well for Marseille. Obviously, he fly kicked somebody and got suspended for like 10 matches, and then he got injured. So yeah, Eric Bailly's stock price is literally at rock bottom at the moment. So yeah. Anthony says, come to think of it, if Eric Bailly wasn't injury prone, he would arguably be our best centre-back. I'm not too sure about that, to be completely honest with you. For me, Eric Bailly is too hot and cold. One day he'll have an incredible game, and the next day he'll fly kick somebody. I just don't think he's reliable enough. Whereas people like Martinez, I guess Martinez has that same kind of stance as well, where he is quite, you know, unpredictable, but he hasn't done anything like really wrong yet, has he, Martinez? Whereas Eric Bailly just flies into tackles. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next story. I know that one's not the most exciting, but it does look like Eric Bailly will be leaving the club, which is good. It really is positive. Let's talk about Scott McTominay really quickly. So it does look like West Ham are going to put in a bid of around 30 to 40 million pounds for Scott McTominay. This was being reported yesterday by Sky Sports and TalkSport and a couple of other UK journalists saying that David Moyes wants him at the club. He tried to get Conor Gallagher, didn't he? But that deal didn't go through. Yeah, so it does look like we will at least get an offer for Scott McTominay, which is good. Again, another player which I don't think another player who I don't think kind of has a future at Manchester United for me personally. I do like him. He's okay. You know, he's an average player in my opinion. Obviously, he's come through the youth academy, which is always nice. He's, you know, he knows what it means to be a Manchester United player, all of that good stuff. But at the end of the day, Like, we need people who are actually good enough to play for Manchester United. You know, it's the same with Elanga. Like, he was okay. He'd come through the youth academy, so maybe he was kind of likened a little bit more just because of his, you know, just because of his kind of history with Manchester United. But yeah, I mean, if we can get 30 to 40 million from West Ham for Scott McTominay, I would take that any day of the week without even blinking. So let's hope that this deal goes through. Let's hope that then we have that money to reinvest in other areas of the squad. Because in my opinion, any money we get now, we need to spend on another striker, because I really, really do think that Rasmus Højlund on his own is not going to be enough. Like, I'm not convinced about, as much as I want Jadon Sancho to work and playing him as a false nine if we have to, like, great. But is anybody really expecting us to go into the league next season and win it with Jadon Sancho as a false nine? I don't think so. I think you need someone on Harry Kane's level for us to be in the conversation of winning the league. We really, really do. But that's just my opinion. So hopefully we get this deal done. Hopefully Scott McTominay leaves, and then we can go and invest that money straight away into a striker. You know, I honestly would even go and get Kobbie Mainoo, Gonzalo Ramos. Like, I think we need two strikers like that. We need a Gonzalo Ramos and a Rasmus Højlund. Like, we need two, not one. We need two. We really, really do. When you think of over the years, right, we had what? Cavani and Ronaldo. We didn't replace either of them. We had Falcao. We had all of these. Like, we haven't had two strikers since Cavani and Ronaldo, and we haven't replaced either of them. So we need two strikers without a shadow of a doubt. We really, really do. So let's hope that we bring in someone. It could be Taremi from Porto. That's another option. He's available for around about £20 million. So he's a kind of cheaper option. I'm not really too sure why we didn't just go and get that deal done like a month ago, to be completely honest with you. Like somebody said in the chat, I would have just gone and got Taremi. I would have. I think he would have been a good option. I really, really do. But yeah, obviously Ten Hag has his plan, and I 100% back whatever Ten Hag wants to do. Max says, would you take Taremi from Porto? Yeah, I would take Taremi. Yeah, 100%. I would. Obviously, he's not world class, but he's good. He got quite a lot of goals in the Portuguese league last season. So yeah, I would definitely take Taremi from Porto. But let me know in the comment section, guys. Do you think we need two strikers? Do you think that Rasmus Højlund on his own is going to be enough to, you know, get whatever you think you're expecting from Manchester United next season? I mean, anybody in the chat who thinks that we are going to win the league next season, for me, for us to even be in that conversation, we need to bring in two strikers this season. If we bring in Rasmus Højlund and Harry Kane, I would say we're in the conversation to win the league. If we bring in Rasmus Højlund and Kobbie Mainoo, I would say we're in the conversation to win the league. I'm not saying we will win it, but I'm saying we should be at least in the conversation. If we just bring in Rasmus Højlund, I don't think we can even be in the conversation to win the league. And you can say that's me being negative. You can say that's me being pessimistic, whatever you want to call it. But that's just my opinion. You've seen how badly we need a striker, and Rasmus Højlund isn't going to score us 30 goals in the Premier League. He won't. So, I mean, if he does, like, I hope in 6 months' time we're sat here and you're all saying, Kieran, you said before the season started that Rasmus Højlund wouldn't score 30 goals, and he scored 30 goals already. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I honestly do think that we need... I mean, some people are saying we need three strikers in the chat. Yeah, I do agree. I think Rasmus Højlund, I'm so excited about. Don't get me wrong. He's 20-year-old. He could go on to be one of the best strikers in the world, but there is no way on earth that next season he's going to be on the same level as Harry Kane. It's just not going to happen, is it? It's unrealistic. Yeah, Liam says Kane and Højlund will win us the league. Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest with you, I do feel like that. I do feel really, really positive that if we got in those two players, I do genuinely think we'd be in the shout for the Premier League title next season. I genuinely do. That's how important those two signings would be. I mean, yeah, Pete just said in the chat, what do we do if Rasmus Højlund gets injured? I mean, has anybody even considered that? There's people who are saying, you know, oh, he's going to score X amount of goals, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. But what happens if he gets injured? What do we do then? We're playing Sancho as a false nine. I mean, it just feels a little bit like every summer, just the kind of the same thing just repeats over and over again. I do feel like. So Miles says Kane, Højlund, Kobbie Mainoo, Gonzalo Ramos. These are the strikers United should sign to compete. I think we need two strikers. That's my point. I think we need two strikers minimum. Get two strikers in. Rasmus Højlund should be the kind of the striker who's developing on the sidelines. I don't think he's ready to start every single game. But the thing you have to remember, right, with Rasmus Højlund is he didn't even start every single game for Atalanta. He was coming off the bench. If he's coming off the bench for Atalanta, are you really expecting him to be starting every single game for Manchester United? Like, it's unrealistic. I'm excited about the prospect of buying this player who could go on to be worth 100, 200 million in a few years' time. But at this current point, he's not worth that, and he's not gonna bridge the gap between us and Manchester City. That's my that's my take on it. Obviously, if you think I'm wrong, then let me know in the comment section. And obviously, I look forward to seeing you guys' comments on that one. Right, let's move on to the next story though. Let's keep things moving. We've got 10 minutes left of the show, guys. Please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe if you haven't already. Right, let's talk about Amrabat really quickly then, shall we? So Alfredo Padula, who is this really good Italian journalist this year, who's been he was really good around the Onana situation. He's been really good around the Højlund situation. He is reporting that Manchester United will submit a proposal to Fiorentina for Sofyan Amrabat in the region of 35 million euros. He is now one step away from moving to Manchester United. So this journalist in Italy is reporting that the deal will get done for around 35 million euros. Obviously, this hasn't been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano yet, but when you see the stories that Fred is 100% leaving, I mean, it does seem kind of obvious that that Amrabat will sign, doesn't it? You know, if Fred leaves, Amrabat will sign. That's what we've always been told. And Fabrizio did come out last night saying that Fred will leave Manchester United this summer. It wasn't he might do, it was he will leave. And now we're getting the story that a deal for Amrabat will be done for around £30 million, 35 million euros, including add-ons. So yeah, really happy about that one. Again, he would definitely improve our team. I'm not sure if it will be enough to kind of bridge the gap between us and Manchester City, but at the end of the day, Ten Hag's only been here 1 year, so I'm not expecting us to be winning the league next season, in my opinion. Voice of Reason says, are you not worried about our lack of creativity from wide areas? We are one of the only teams we're one of the only top teams in the world who have wing backs that don't put the ball into the box. Yeah, I am. As I said to you guys earlier on in the show, and some people in the chat were saying that I'm being negative, which is something I don't really ever do. I'm allowed to kind of be honest. I don't want to shy away from, you know, an opinion. I'm really happy with our defence. I'm really happy with our midfield, but I am worried about our attack. I was worried about our attack last season. And as it stands, we haven't bought anybody in the attack. We bought Mason Mount, but he's playing in the midfield three. Our front three is the same, if not worse than it was last season at this point. It literally is. This time last year, we had Ronaldo as our striker, Rashford on the left and Antony on the right. Now we have Rashford on the left, Jadon Sancho as the striker and Antony on the right. So our attack is actually worse than it was a year ago. So yeah, I don't know. Somebody's asking about how much is Fred going for. At the moment, we don't know exactly what the price will be for Fred, but Manchester United are reportedly asking for £20 million. But if you go back a little bit on the show, you can kind of watch the whole section of that on the Fred situation. Right, I'll read out a couple more questions as well. We've got about... Højlund is the answer. What is the question? Christian says, we had Rooney, Tevez, Oli, Saha, Berbatov all in one season. Yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it? How the levels have changed. You know, not that long ago, we had, 4 or 5 quality strikers in the squad. But as the title of the video says, Erik ten Hag's demanding a striker. He must be absolutely furious that they haven't got a striker yet. Like, the fact that he's having to try and play Jadon Sancho as a false 9, it's absolutely ridiculous. It really is. And it just feels like a little bit like one of those days, to be completely honest with you, where, like, obviously we had the positivity around a bid going in for Rasmus Højlund, but I mean, that's taken 3 months, which is frustrating. And it feels like it's this Onana deal all over again, where we're all sat here thinking, we're going to get the here we go today. We're going to get the here we go today. I'm ready and waiting for the here we go. And then it just drags on and on and on and on. So yeah, at least we have got Onana. At least we have got Mason Mount. I did do a poll up on the community tab of the channel earlier on today, if anybody missed it. So let's just have a quick look at the poll. So I did a poll on the community tab, and the question was, how would you rate the transfer window so far? Okay, so I asked, it was out of 10. 49% of you said 6 out of 10. 29% of you said 4 out of 10, and 11% of you said 2 out of 10. So most people have rated the transfer window 6 out of 10 so far. Let me know in the comment section, guys. How do you guys rate the transfer window so far out of 10? I don't know, 6? It sounds quite high, doesn't it? I would probably say 5 for me personally, like 4 or 5. I think it's been pretty average, but yeah. Yeah, I would say 4 or 5 out of 10 to be completely honest with you. I think if we get rid of I think if we get rid of like Maguire, McTominay, Fred, Bailly, Telles, if we get rid of all of those people and bring in bring in one world-class striker and Rasmus Højlund, I would probably give it like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. But at this point, with no strikers, probably looking like we're just going to get Rasmus Højlund, who, as much as I love, I'm not convinced he's going to bridge the gap between us and Manchester City. Yeah. Somebody said 0 strikers. Someone says 2 out of 10. 0 strikers so far. We need at least 2. I don't rate Mount. No Casemiro backup. No centre back. Only Elanga and Zidane. Iqbal sold. Onana is great. So 2 for Onana. Wow. I mean, when you look at it like that, like I can't really argue with that. Like you obviously make a good point. Yeah. It's one of those things, isn't it, with Manchester United? It literally is swings and roundabouts, isn't it? One day you feel really, really positive. It looks like Onana's joining. Sorry, it looks like Højlund's joining. It looks like Amrabat's joining. It looks like Maguire might go. And then the next day it's like Kobbie Mainoo's injured. We've just lost against Real Madrid. You know, Ten Hag's pretty much crying for a striker. It is quite difficult, isn't it? But we've just got to all kind of try and stay together. Don't, you know, argue amongst yourselves. It doesn't get us anywhere. And let's just kind of hope that... Let's just hope that the last kind of month of the transfer window is a really, really positive one. Let's hope that, you know, the people we need to leave the club, Dean Henderson, Maguire, McTominay, let's hope that all of them go. Let's hope that we raise a load of money, and let's hope that we go and buy another striker as well. Because honestly, I want to say this here and now, I do genuinely believe that if we get Rasmus Højlund plus someone like Harry Kane, I honestly think we'll be in with a shout of winning the league this season. I really, really do. If we just get Rasmus Højlund, I would say that we'll probably just be battling for top 4, to be completely honest. That's my opinion. Obviously, if you've got a differing opinion, that's not me being negative. That's just my opinion. Yeah, but that's my take on it. I do think we're 1 or 2 players away from challenging for the title. I genuinely believe that, but they have to be world-class players. And as much as I like Rasmus Højlund, he isn't world-class at this point. Nobody in this chat can say Rasmus Højlund is world-class now. Like, he isn't. He can go on to be world-class 100% if he's developed right, if he's, you know, if his career is managed right, if he isn't expected to play every single game of every single match at 20 years of age, he could go on to be world-class. But at this very moment in time, he isn't, is he? Harry Kane is world-class. Osterman's world-class. Haaland's world-class. You know, those are world-class players. Yeah, and I mean, we're literally two weeks away now from the Premier League starting. I think it starts 2 weeks tomorrow. Our first game is against Wolves. We will be doing a watch along for that. I will be doing a watch along for all of the Premier League matches. I've kind of not bothered so much with the pre-season ones because I'm not as but we will be doing them for the Premier League. So the first game is against Wolves. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, which will be fun, and we will of course be doing a watch along for that one. I think I'm going to wrap the video up there, guys. I'm sorry if it's not been the most positive of shows this morning. I think, yeah, there's just a bit of a frustration, isn't there, around the fan base today, I think. Everybody's probably a little bit tired from watching the game last night. I mean, the game was only on, 5 hours ago. Everyone's probably a little bit tired. Everyone's a little bit frustrated. Obviously, we're crying out for strikers. Kobbie Mainoo got injured. Like, nothing really positive came of last night's game, and we still don't have a striker. So I can understand why everybody's feeling a little bit negative today. You know, I'm not the kind of person who just constantly is negative. So for me to come across like this morning is probably quite rare and just kind of shows how I'm feeling today about everything. So yeah, I do apologize if, you know, if you were hoping for some more positive news this morning, but you know, obviously I'm not a magician. I can't just magic positive news out of thin air, unfortunately. So it is what it is. We move on. We will, of course, be back live this evening at 6 p.m. for another 1 hour show, hopefully with some more positivity. Hopefully Rasmus Højlund's joined. Hopefully Maguire's gone to West Ham, you know. Good things still can happen, but please do smash a like on the video on your way out. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Thank you to everybody who's joined us. I assume you're all really tired from last night, so I do really appreciate you for coming and being part of this show this morning. I will speak to you guys later. Lots of love and peace out.